Hello, happy Monday. How are you?
Happy Monday. Good evening, everyone. I'm doing good. I'm doing okay.
Good. Good
And
start to the
you?
week. Yeah, good. Thank you. Been loving the sunshine today.
Oh my God, it's been beautiful today, right?
Yeah, it's been amazing. Been
You
really
know, I
enjoying
get
it.
really like motivated and feel like really uplifted when the sun's shining.
Yeah.
So this morning I made sure that my curtains were wide open.
Wow.
And yeah, it was a really good start to the day.
Oh, good. So, should we introduce ourselves before we launch into what we're going to talk about today?
That might be wise, especially
Yeah.
since we're streaming on YouTube today and in the Catalyst community group. So yeah, you go for it. Kickstart it off, Sarah.
Go for it. Okay. Hello, everybody. Thank you for joining us. Now, lots of you watching will already know exactly who we are and what we do, but there might be some of you today who are new. So let me just give you a brief intro of who we are and what we do. So I'm Sarah Bramall, my lovely co-founder, co-director, Rebecca Daniel, and we are together. We are the Coaching Catalysts. So what that means is we're both transformation coaches. We both help people who want to make a change in their lives, whether that's in terms of career or business or confidence or well-being. Whatever that change is, we're here to help you. Alongside that, we're also both qualified in something called NLP, which is really about the link between the brain and our thinking patterns and the language that we use. And we also both offer DISC personality profiling as well. So we both have a wide range of tools and qualifications to support you in making that change. And we're both ex-English teachers as well. So we both have a real love for training and teaching, as well as a love for supporting everybody in the education world. There we are. That's our intro today.
That was the best intro yet. Hands down. The best one yet.
Yes, Monday night, I'm on it.
You are on it. And if anyone disagrees and says practice doesn't make perfect, it does. Keep going.
Thank you.
Really nice to be here on a Monday evening. Sarah and I have committed to ourselves to show up in the evening, and it's not always easy for us. Sarah's got 3 kids. I've got one sassy 4-nager going on 5. It's not easy, but we know that the evenings are better for most of you to catch, some of the information and the training and the teachings that we have to share with you. And we think that that's really important. So if you are joining us, say hey. I can see we've got Martin L there saying the dream team. So thank you for your love and support. Anyone else that's joining us live, make sure that you get in the comments and share with us where you're watching from and who you are. So today, Sarah, is one of our favourite topics, right?
Absolutely, because this is something that I would say comes up a lot. It comes up a lot in our community group, in our membership group, and with our one-to-one clients. This whole piece around how do we manage our time and prioritize our well-being. So we're going to talk about that tonight. We're going to talk about how we can own our time. It's our most precious resource, yet something that we really struggle to manage. How do we get that elusive balance? What even is that? What does that look like? And how do we put our well-being first rather than at the bottom of the pile? So 3 kind of pretty juicy topics to dig into this evening. So we're going to be sharing with you some things that we've noticed, some tips and tricks that have worked for us, and maybe also some things that have worked for our clients as well. So I'm very excited.
It's one of those topics that we would never proclaim that we are experts in ourselves.
Right.
And the reason why I say that, Sarah, is because things change on a daily, weekly, hourly basis, especially
Yeah.
when you've got other commitments, right? But
Yeah.
it's something that Sarah and I have always been aware of. Obviously, being ex teachers, we've been aware of how to manage our time, and it's not always been easy, right? When you've been under
No.
employment and under other people's schedules and regimes. But when we entered into self-employment, it was something that we both knew was essential for our lifestyle, the lifestyle that we wanted to create for ourselves.
Yeah.
It was definitely top of the list. You know, when I
Mm-hmm.
left teaching, I said I wanted to be able to manage my time effectively,
Mm-hmm.
have that freedom, but still feel fulfilled in what I did, whatever it was, whatever, you know, vocation I decided to go into. And that's still very much today something that I'm always watching out for. Am
Yeah.
I managing my time? Do I have balance? Am I prioritizing my well-being?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
If we were to start with owning our time,
Yeah. Okay. So
how
how
do
do we own our
you own
time?
your
Yeah,
time?
yeah, yeah. Well, I think the first thing is to look at how we describe our relationship with time. And one of the things that I've made a change on over the course of the last sort of 5 or 6 years since I retrained as a coach is my relationship with time, because
Mm,
I would hear myself again and again saying, I haven't got time, I haven't got time, I haven't got time. And eventually I got bored with hearing myself repeating that I haven't got time. And so that was one of the beliefs I realized was holding me back. So what I chose to do was to reframe that belief, to change that language and change it to I own my time and I choose how I spend it. Now, by reframing that language, reframing that belief, it made me take responsibility for owning my time. And what that looked like was firstly measuring where my time was going. So, tracking time over the course of a week and finding out, okay, so how much time am I spending working? How much time am I spending on the housework, etc., etc.? Where's my time going? So, just like we might do with our money, we look at what are we doing with our time, because it literally is our most precious resource. We can always make money, but we can't get the time back that we have.
mm,
So
mm.
where's it going, measuring it. And then secondly, really being specific about where I choose to focus that time and energy. And so that covers everything. So, which areas of my work are most important to me, which people in my life are most important to me, and which activities do I choose to do that are most important to me. And that was really how I'm not saying it's, as you said, Rebecca, we're all always a work in progress, and I would never press and put all the answers, got it all sorted. If you see me, I've got a full life, a busy life, but that did really help me reframe and transform my relationship with time.
I really do like that, actually, especially about spending time with the people that are important to you, and the
Yeah.
places that you need to be, because we often I don't know if this, well, let me say this is generalization, but as women, we get
Mm,
pulled left, right, and
yeah.
center, front,
Yeah.
back, 90
Mm,
degrees, 180 degrees. So it's really, really hard sometimes to know where we need to be
yeah.
versus where we want to be, right?
Yeah.
And that's
Yeah.
really difficult. We can have a conflict with that. Um,
Mm-mm.
for me, how do I own my time? I'm a bit crazy when it comes to owning my time, because I know that if I don't focus on it,
Yeah.
then I can literally just really lose focus and become really overwhelmed.
Right.
So my time is managed via my calendar, via my diary. You know that, Sarah,
You're
right?
so good, though. That's a great tip. That's a really good tip to share. You're very good with that.
And I ditched it, right?
Okay.
So no, not now, but I ditched it when I left the classroom. I was like, I'm done. I'm done scheduling. I'm done with planners. I'm done with timetables. No more. And I went into self-employment and was just going with the flow.
Yeah.
Didn't realize why I felt so overwhelmed. Didn't realize
Mm,
why I felt a lack of success, right?
mm,
Why I was not meeting my targets, meeting my goals. And it was a coaching session that I had actually that made me realize, holy cow, Rebecca, like you've been planning for the last decade, maybe longer than that. You can't just get rid of a habit that you've been doing so regularly in order to keep you on track, and to keep you focused. So I brought it back in. And when I brought it back in, one of the key things that I did with that was tracking. And I share this with the people in the Catalyst membership. I tracked everything.
Yeah.
I tracked the time that I spent with my daughter, the time that I spent grocery shopping, the time if I did decide to go for a massage or a facial or a hair appointment or a nail appointment, down to discovery calls that I had with clients, actual working time that I had in my business or working on my business. And it really allowed me to see the gaps or the lack of gaps, right?
Yeah.
And that was when I realized I need to reduce my working time and increase my well-being time. And this will later on when we talk about how we prioritize our well-being.
Yeah.
Because I really then realized that I was working so much because I was in that hamster wheel of working, and wondering why at the end of 6 to 8 weeks I was feeling so drained.
Yeah.
So I own my time by tracking it. And I make sure that there's a real nice balance between spending time with family, friends, spending time in my business, out my business, spending time doing nothing.
Yeah.
And then tracking like all the little minor things that we forget about that take time.
Right. Yeah. Great message. And I think that's really interesting. So you used that discipline and that structure that you had in employment, and you didn't initially, but after a while you learned you needed to transfer that through to your life in self-employment. And I think that works for a lot of us as well. You know, those of us who are still in employment, sometimes we can be really disciplined with our time at work maybe, but then forget to schedule our time at the weekends or in the evenings or whatever, and forget to kind of schedule the stuff that's important for us. So yeah, interesting. Now, anybody watching, I'd really love to hear from you. What do you do to manage your time? What do you do that makes you feel that you own your time? Or if you're finding this challenging, what are the biggest challenges you have around time? We'd really be interested to hear.
There was oh gosh, I can't remember now what it was. There was like a controversy, wasn't there, around a celebrity? I don't know if you caught this. It was around a celebrity called Molly May, and she was talking about everyone having the same 24 hours. And the reason why I want to bring that up is because I was in the mindset, oh yeah, everyone does have the same 24 hours. But although we do have 24 hours a day and everyone has 24 hours a day, I think it's really important to not get into the habit of comparing as well how other people spend their time.
Yeah.
And that's why I'm bringing this up. Because behind closed doors, we have no idea what other people are going through, what other people commitments other people have as well. So I think it's really, really important if we see somebody, and I'm probably talking to the business owners here, but actually I'm going to talk to the people that are in professions as well. If we see someone staying at work until 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock, you know, way past their working hours, or arriving at 7 a.m, or, you know, not taking a lunch break or taking an extra long lunch break, or if you're an entrepreneur, if you see someone online going live or, you know, doing X, Y, and Z, it's really, really important to not assume that you have to do that.
Yes. Yeah, and also I'd add to that, we know that there's a gender imbalance here as well. We know that statistically women spend a lot more time on caring responsibilities, whether that's children or elderly relatives or whatever. And we know that data from the pandemic as well. We know that the adverse effect that homeschooling had on women's careers far more so than on men's careers, and the amount of time that women spent on the homeschooling versus the time that men spend on the homeschooling. So I think there is a gender issue to address here as well.
Yeah. So I hope that the first half of that has given you guys some tips and some insights. We're pretty much an open book. So if you have any questions, feel free to drop them live now or drop them in later on the replay. I think the last part of this is, again, talking now about how we find balance and prioritize our well-being. And Sarah made an interesting statement before we went live. Do you remember what you said?
Were you laughing at what I put in the chat that I'd written? Is that what you're laughing at?
I was laughing about that before. Yeah. Go for it.
So I just put in the notes. I'll tell everybody. I put in the notes for us. We've got notes before we go live. I'd written, and I'll read it to you in the chat. Find balance, pile everything in and hope that there's time left. Rebecca was like, is that your tip for tonight, Sarah? I was like,
Oh dear.
no. But that's what we do, isn't it? That's what we do. Again, you know, thinking about us as women, thinking about clients we work with, we try and pile everything in. Usually it's other people's priorities. Usually we put everybody else before ourselves. And then at the bottom of that, somehow we expect that maybe if we're lucky, that we might find time to look after ourselves. No, 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 no. This is the learning. This is so important. I'm sure people have heard me say this before. I heard both of us say this before, that self-care is not selfish. We have to prioritize our well-being so that we can then look after other people, not look after everybody and everything else first, and then hope that there's time left for our well-being, because we know there isn't. It doesn't happen like that. I think it's Audre Lorde, wasn't it, who said, I've come to realize that self-care is not a luxury, it's actually an act of survival.
It really,
So
really
yeah. So how do we do it, Rebecca?
Wow. I'm going to read this. Well, before we share our secrets, I'm going to share this comment on the screen. My challenge at the moment, hello, by the way, Facebook user. My challenge at the moment is that I have fallen into a trap of working on too many projects simultaneously, and it's leaving me exhausted. This is me. This is like shiny object syndrome. I love to do everything, and I can do everything. Doesn't necessarily mean that and I'm talking about me personally, doesn't necessarily mean that I should do everything. And if you are employed, sometimes that's difficult, right? Because sometimes you can be thrown multiple things at you. And if you're self-employed, then we can inflict this on ourselves. I say inflict it as if it's a punishment, right?
Yeah.
But when we notice and when we recognize that it's too many, it's about taking a step back and thinking, what can I let go of? What can I say no to? And that's the strength there. It's about what can I let go of and what can I say no to? And this took me a really long time, because I was a people pleaser. I had the perfectionist trait within me. You know, I felt like if we were busy, then it meant that we were really, really super successful. And I had to really learn again about prioritizing my well-being. And I learned it after I left employment, right? We learn at different speeds and different paces. What would you say, Sarah, to someone who has a trap of working on too many projects?
I think one thing I would say, it's a really interesting point. I think you know, it happens a lot. It happens, and it happens, I think, to a lot of us who do love that shiny object syndrome, and we want to take on a lot. We've got lots of different interests. One thing I would say to bear in mind is that we know that when we are interrupted from a task, it then takes our brain up to 15 minutes to refocus again once we've been interrupted. So if you think about focusing on your project and then you're switching to focus on something else, and something else has got your attention, it's exhausting because your brain is constantly unable to focus on one thing and is switching attention between different projects. And that's one reason I'd say that is exhausting. So I think Rebecca's advice about, you know, choose what you're going to do and delegate out what you can't is absolutely solid. But I would also say, where possible, focus on one thing at a time, even if it's just in the course of a block of sort of 3 or 4 hours, one thing at a time. And this is a real challenge for us in the world of social media and technology and everything, without being distracted by our emails, by our notifications on our phone, all of that stuff. One thing at a time. And then that's it's what your friend told you on Thursday. This is what Facebook users saying. Yes, it's exactly what my friend told you on Thursday. You've got a wise friend there. You've got a good friend there. Yeah, good. I'm glad that we're in agreement there. So yeah, one thing at a time. That really helps, and because it is exhausting for the brain otherwise.
And I find that for the neurodivergent clients that I work with, I find that even more of a challenge, especially for the ones with ADHD. They kind of really find it difficult to really focus on that one thing. But I agree with you. For them specifically, what works best, not for all of them because everyone's different, but for most of the ones that I have been coaching, what works is, again, that block of time, but knowing when their mind is going to kind of divert onto something else, and that's the moment to take the break, right? So we all have different thresholds, so to speak.
Absolutely.
I'm not too sure the same Facebook user, but
no,
we'll see.
But I was less tired when I was working 3 days a week. Yeah, and sometimes we don't have a choice. Sometimes we just have to work whatever we have to work. But yeah, sometimes if we do have a choice, it's worth looking at that. Like, what's the ideal amount of time to be working in terms of managing our time, managing our energy? Yeah, good point. Good question.
That brings us to a really good place, actually, because when we talk about prioritising our well-being, what do we do on a Friday, Sarah? Or what do we do most Fridays? Let's be real here. Some Fridays we can be a bit naughty, but what do we do most Fridays, Sarah?
Most Fridays is well-being day, isn't it? Well, Fridays we work really hard Monday to Thursday, but Fridays we have our well-being day and we hold each other to account for that. So we don't block anything in the diary. Again, Rebecca's being very honest, like occasionally things slip in. I think we've got an Ilamar here all the way with us tonight. Wonderful. Drink wine. What do you do on Fridays?
What do we do on Friday? Oh, yeah, drink wine and have a well-being day. No, I think it was the other Friday, wasn't it? We were working and we're like, hey. And you made a really good point, actually, because I think you said something along the lines of, you had a great break. I think it was because we broke during half term, right? So we had a great break during half term. We kind of gifted ourselves that break. So it was okay. You know, we gave ourselves that permission to work on Friday. And that's really, really important as well. If you are self-employed and you are fortunate to manage your schedule, how can you gift yourself time? I know you gift yourself time.
100%. Yeah. Honestly, it's essential for me. It's absolutely essential for me to manage my mental well-being, my physical well-being, manage their energy, because and I'm sure it's the same for all of us. We give so much energy to other people, whether that's at work or with our families. We have to find time to top that up, to top that energy up ourselves. And yes, we are in a fortunate position because we are self-employed and we can make that choice in our schedule. If you can't make that choice in your schedule, I would just really urge you to do something. Start with something small. 10 minutes a day. And that's what I did when my children were really little and I was still in employment, starting my business. I used to give myself 10 minutes a day first thing in the morning before everybody got up. And that was enough to keep my sanity at that time. That was all I had. So that's what I went with. If you can find one evening a week where you can do something for yourself, do that, but make that commitment to yourself and stick to it, because that time to take care of your well-being it's not just a luxury, it's not indulgent, it's absolutely essential.
Yeah. And I think that's actually one of my tips as well, Sarah. So we're on the same page there, which is good. I'm glad to know that we're making people laugh today on this live. That's great. Keep it coming. But with me, it is doing one thing every day for myself. Again, not something that I gave myself before. No. But something that I know makes a huge difference. And it could be something really small. Like this morning I went live and I shared with everyone how I woke up, sun was shining, it was beautiful, it was amazing. And I sat in bed with my daughter and we just did our gratitude. Now that is prioritising our well-being, because
lovely.
She did it, I did it, my partner did it, and we all shared 3 things that we were grateful for. And it didn't take long, but it just put a massive smile on my face, because she said she was grateful for school, she was grateful for her family, and it was Odd Socks Day today, so she was grateful for that. And you know, it's just small things. But one thing that I really have made sure that I do is just take time. So there are times where I go through the day, a 24-hour period, and I realize I've not had silence. And I think I talk about this a lot sometimes when we're doing training and we give people a minute of silence. And I always sit there and I think, have I had just 1 minute of silence to
Yeah.
myself?
Yeah.
And if I haven't, I take that. Oh my God, I love it. I just love, it's just about sitting and reflecting and being without rushing and doing the dishwasher or answering emails or, you know, designing content or whatever it is, just 1 minute. And then gradually increasing that as we get better at it and get more disciplined at it. So that's my
a brilliant tip. I love that tip. I love that tip, and I love the way that you're modelling well-being for your daughter as well.
Oh,
Brilliant.
so important.
Such a gift that you're teaching her.
Yeah.
Amazing. Well, we have covered a lot this evening, haven't we? So we have gone through our relationship with time. We've talked about managing our time by measuring it, by scheduling it, by really taking control of time being our most precious resource. We've talked about how we might transfer, how we manage time when we move from employment to self-employment, or perhaps when we're between work and home. Sometimes we're disciplined at work and then not so much at home. So how can we transfer those skills across? And then we've talked about the fact that well-being and self-care is not selfish and indulgent. It's really essential to our well-being. And when we look after ourselves, we model that for other people as well. So we're serving others as well. But often it can be the thing that we sort of do last. It comes to the bottom of the pile unless we schedule it and prioritize it. So yes, and Rebecca shared finally the idea of a mindful minute, and that's a great thing to do. That's a really good way to build in that self-care. I do that sometimes before I go and pick the children up. I don't just kind of, you know, get to school and rush straight out the car. I'm just like, just give myself a minute, just literally a minute before I rush into the next activity or the next role. So just sometimes giving ourselves a minute just gives us a sense of spaciousness. It makes us feel like we've got time to breathe, which is super important. So we'd love to hear from you. What challenges do you have around time, around prioritizing your well-being? We'd really love to hear. Or equally, if you've got any great tips, you think there's anything here that could, you know, that we haven't mentioned in this conversation or that you'd like to share with us, please go ahead and do so, because when you share it, it's a great gift because it helps other people. So please do that. Okay, I think that is almost us, but we've got some other stuff coming up, haven't we, in the next week, Rebecca?
We do. We have a lot going on. So please feel free to check the events tab in the Facebook community and in the Facebook page. So tomorrow we are going live and we're talking about how to be seen and heard at 11:30. On Wednesday we're going live and we're talking to Claire and the name's
Rachel.
Claire
and Rachel. Yeah,
Claire and
okay.
Rachel from Dragonfly, that's Impact Education, and we're talking about how to talk to our children in challenging times. But the one that we really want to draw your attention to is on Monday. On Monday, we are talking all about how to attract your dream clients, and that's really, really important to us. How to attract your dream clients with ease and build an audience that you love, absolutely love. And all you have to do for that is go to bit.ly/Catalyst Masterclass 2022, and I will pop all of those details in the comment section now. And you have to register for that. And if you can't turn up live, then that's okay, because as long as you register, then you will get access to the replay.
Brilliant. Okay, Nilamar, thanks so much for being with us all the way through, and I'm glad that we've made you laugh this evening. Yeah, okay, great. So as we said, any questions or anything, let us know. Any comments, let us know. And if you're watching on replay, #replay, let us know how you're doing, and look forward to connecting with you again this week. And the big one is come back for the masterclass next week, all about attracting your dream clients and building your business that you love. We're very, very excited about that. Okay.
I think that's it.
I think we're done. See you next time.
Everyone.
Thank you. Bye.